Hi friends, welcome back to another episode of Generation Tech. My name is Alan. So we're going to take a step away from Star Wars just for one series. You know, the whole Separatist versus Earth thing was kind of tough. I just need to recharge a little bit. But doing that series kind of got me thinking about humanity as a whole. When Alan Shepard, commander of the Apollo 14 mission, and also my character in Mass Effect, first saw the Earth from the moon, he recalled crying. It was a powerful moment to see our planet so small and far in the distance, hanging there in the void as a fragile little blue pearl contained within a thin protective layer of atmosphere. Now the 500 plus humans who have traveled into space on their own will, abductions, Iron Man, and telephone booths don't count, all have felt a similar phenomenon, which is known as the overview effect. These people usually develop a wider appreciation for our planet, along with viewing conflicts on our Earth as less important and almost petty. In my pursuit for world peace as a beauty pageant contestant, I've noticed that the world is in a cyclical cycle of violence. It's almost never ending. World War I sets the roots for World War II, which leads to the Cold War, and most of the conflicts we see today are all unresolved issues with roots that can be traced like a genetic imprint to prior conflicts in our history. So besides sending all of humanity into space to space out, how can we stop ourselves from constantly fighting each other? Well, I've always said that fiction mimics reality, so why don't we just look at a bunch of Hollywood movies where humanity does come together to achieve a common goal, and who knows, maybe we can learn something from it. The first type of story is what I call the Independence Day scenario. Growing up, this was one of my favorite movies. It showed the world that, like Mentos and Coca-Cola, if you add Jeff Goldblum to Coca-Cola, you can create a very powerful force. But more importantly, it showed humanity coming together in its darkest moments to celebrate Independence Day. And not just any Independence Day, American Independence Day. Now, obviously, this is an American movie made for an American audience, and the message is quite simple, but nonetheless still important. In the event of an alien invasion, the world just needs more American-style optimism. Sure, the aliens are completely outgunning us, but if we don't try something, we might as well curl up into a small ball and die. I remember getting teary-eyed after seeing fighter pilots from all around the world receive the message to attack through Morse code. There was the Russians listening to post-Soviet era Soviet propaganda music, the Japanese in their Godzilla-proof bunkers, and then a very special scene which showed Iraqi and Israeli pilots gathering together in the desert, which was really heartwarming to see. Only 5 years before Saddam Hussein was randomly launching rockets into Israeli cities. As a matter of fact, I think the only people who didn't enjoy this scene were the alien scumbags and Hezbollah, but that was in real life. They boycotted the film, claiming it was propaganda for the so-called genius of Jews and their concern for humanity. Obviously, they didn't read the novelization of the book, in which this combined force of Muslims, Jews, and Christian pilots are actually all on their way to defend the holy city of Mecca from an alien city destroyer. And that, Hezbollah, is what happens when you don't do your research. You look like a douchebag. Trust me, I know. In the end, I think Independence Day's assessment of how Earth would band together if aliens like the ones portrayed in the movie came is spot on. Faced with our imminent destruction at the hands of a technological superior species that refuses to negotiate with us and uses data as a sock puppet, it kind of makes sense that our own beefs and rivalries will be quickly forgotten. Next is the Armageddon Method. Whether it's an asteroid heading towards us, the sun is dying, or the core of the Earth has just stopped spinning, humanity must put its scientific minds together and figure out a way to defeat this existential threat. And naturally, the only solution our scientists can make for these three extremely different situations is to use a nuke and explode our way to victory. How very Kim Jong-un of us. What's interesting is in most of these movies, the eventual destination of these nukes are in an extremely hard to reach place. But this absurdly difficult challenge is also what pushes our scientists to create new machines and technologies that we would have never designed otherwise. I'd like to think that this sentiment is true. I mean, if we look at our own history, due to the Cold War, just half a century after we invented machines that could fly, we had a man on the moon. You could say whatever you want about humanity, but you can't deny that we have a lot of ambition.
For the first time in the history of the planet, a species has the technology to prevent its own extinction.
Next up is what I like to call the Matt Damon dilemma, which asks the age-old question, how much is the world willing to sacrifice to save Matt Damon? It all starts during the movie Interstellar, where Matt Damon is cast as a villain playing opposite of the much more likable Matthew McConaughey. Bitter over not being able to be the good guy in his own space movie, Matt Damon signed on for Interstellar 2, or as some call it, The Martian. In Interstellar 2, Matt Damon is once again left alone on a barren planet. But this time, surprise, he's likable, and totally not trying to kill everyone. Instead of blowing up his fellow astronauts, he even blows himself up, which is wicked cool. And better yet, the world also thinks that he's wicked cool and should be saved. And he even gets Murph to come along and save him. When the United States supply mission fails, suddenly the Chinese government comes to their aid. Apparently, they have a secret rocket that's even better. The point is, despite all the military and industrial espionage, human rights abuses, currency manipulation, IP theft, and hacking attacks, China and the United States can get along, if that means saving Matt Damon's life. Now, logically speaking, I wonder how many millions of dollars were used to save Matt Damon's life. And with that money, how many thousands of starving children could be fed, how many life-saving operations could be performed. But because Matt Damon's struggle became a very public ordeal early on, the world fell in love with him. And this was no longer a decision based on rationale, but an ideologically driven one. The idea of his story becoming a worldwide sensation is believable. In its most basic form, Matt Damon's struggles on Mars are extremely relatable. In one way or another, we're all just trying to survive. And despite my unnecessarily over-the-top bias against Matt Damon, I think he represents the everyman very well. And despite getting hacked by Chinese government interests, this movie is still quintessentially very American at its core. The movie is about never giving up and the importance of an individual. The message NASA and the United States wants to send to the world is that it's always going to be willing to try to save everyone because all life is precious. A naive yet beautiful concept worth applauding, especially if you have the resources to back it up. As Tom Hanks once said to Matt Damon in a small village in Normandy after sacrificing his entire platoon to save him.
Earn this.
So in the end, what do all of these Hollywood movies have in common? Well, for one, the United States is usually portrayed as the most kick-ass country in the world, obviously. And then there's always that moving montage of the world watching climactic events unfold with a powerful speech to go along with it. And then there's usually a good chance that nukes will be used to defeat our problems. And then at that point we all realize how lazy Hollywood writing has become. But most importantly, Hollywood reminds us that if one day somehow an asteroid is on its way to Earth, or aliens invade, or Matt Damon's crew members leave him on Mars to die because he's so freaking annoying, humanity has the ability to rise up and face any challenge. It's Hollywood's most valuable gift to a troubled world: American optimism. I know a lot of these scenarios are completely unrealistic, but what if the world was at peace? What if all of our resources were combined together in a unified effort? The entire world spends $1.7 trillion a year on military expenses. That's enough money to buy every person on this planet a 2-day pass to Disneyland with magical morning early access. Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wait, without a military, how would we fight off the aliens when they come?
Matt Damon.
Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. We will be getting back to Star Wars next episode, so don't worry. Like the well-rounded adults me and Ben try to pretend we are, our channel occasionally dabbles into other sorts of things. And guys, don't forget to hit that subscribe and notification button so you don't miss out on all of the new content. And a special thanks to all of you Patreon supporters out there. You guys are awesome. If you were stuck on Mars, me and Ben would personally come to rescue you. As usual guys, thanks for joining us. If you're watching this, you are Generation Tech.